Haribol, namaste, and welcome back to another Krishna book reading. Today's Krishna book reading 36. My name is Janapati Das, and I've been doing these subsequent videos. This is my 36th video. If this is your first time joining, feel free to go back to the beginning of Krishna book reading number 1 and just watch the videos in order from the beginning. And as always, let me offer my respects to everyone listening, and I would like to offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual master, as well as to Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, my spiritual grandfather, who translated the book of the Srimad Bhagavatam into the Krishna book that we are reading. As usual, I will start with my kirtan, or hearing and chanting of Krishna's names. And feel free to join along. These first two mantras will be one mantra for offering my respects to my spiritual master. The second one will be offering respects to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. So welcome again. It's been a few days since I last gave a class. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and have a wonderful Happy New Year. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Actually, we are continuing reading Krishna, Lord Brahma praying to Lord Krishna. And so as we remember the story of Lord Brahma stealing the calves and cowherd boys from Vrindavan, and Krishna expanding himself through his Vishnu expansions into all the cows and calves, and then bewildering the creator of this universe with his mystic ability. So just showing that the creator, even the creator of this universe, and there are creators of innumerable universes that are all Lord Brahmas, all living entities, not on the same level as the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is what's so wonderfully told in this story. So Lord Brahma had the realization that he was very minuscule, and we are very, very minuscule as living entities if we really even contemplate our place in this universe. Our place in this universe as very small, insignificant. We're on this planet. This planet is just this little rock in the middle of a solar system that's in the middle of a galaxy that's in the middle of innumerable galaxies in the universe. And then we find out through the Vedic scriptures that this is not the only universe, and not to mention the fact that this universe has multi-dimensions that we do not even perceive within this universe. So it's pretty amazing. So we are continuing on, and Lord Brahma is praying. I can also understand that your appearance as a small cowherd boy, a child of the cowherd men, is not at all a material activity. You are so much obliged by their affection that you are here to enthuse them with more loving service by your transcendental presence. In Vrindavan, there is no distinction between material and spiritual because everything is dedicated to your loving service. My dear Lord, your Vrindavan pastimes are simply to enthuse your devotees. If someone takes your Vrindavan pastimes to be material, he will be misled. My dear Lord Krishna, those who deride you, claiming that you have a material body like an ordinary man, are described in the Bhagavad Gita as demoniac and less intelligent. You are always transcendental. The non-devotees are cheated because they consider you to be a material creation. Actually, you have assumed this body which resembles that of an ordinary cowherd boy simply to increase the devotion and transcendental bliss of your devotees. My dear Lord, I have nothing to say about people who advertise that they have already realized God, or that by their realization they have themselves become God. But as far as I'm concerned, I admit frankly that for me, it is not possible to realize you by my body, mind, or speech. So there are actually, even to this day, many people who come into, they're very charismatic figures, so-called gurus and spiritual masters. It's raining. And they come into this world and they're just living entities like anyone else, but they may have a very charismatic personality. But they come to the conclusion that they are God, or they are an incarnation of God, or they're an incarnation of some great figure like Jesus Christ, or some demigod. And this is what Lord Brahma is saying. He's saying that I admit that for me it is not possible to realize you by my body, mind, or speech. So we always question these people if they say that they're God. There's so many so-called gurus, Ram Das and Yogananda Paramahamsa, people who've kind of come before, Sacha Sai Baba and this Baba and that Baba, the Khanda, they're all considered impersonalist gurus who've like maybe have achieved a Brahman realization of understanding Brahman, but have come to the false conclusion that they are God, or that they are some incarnation of some great saint. And we always ask them, well, can you lift Govardhan Hill like Krishna? Can you even create a universe like Lord Brahma? And he's not even the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Can you, if you say that you're God, but yet you have to go to the bathroom like an ordinary human, you can't stop red lights from happening. You can't stop your own body from dying. So this is all foolishness. Anybody who comes into and says that they are God, there's no Vedic backing to prove that an ordinary living entity can become God. Only God is God. What can I say about you, or how can I realize you by my senses? I cannot even think of you perfectly with my mind, which is the master of the senses. Your qualities, your activities, and your body cannot be conceived by any person within this material world. Only by your mercy can one understand to some extent what you are. My dear Lord, you are the supreme Lord of all creation. Although I sometimes falsely think that I am the master of this universe, I may be master of this universe, but there are innumerable universes, and there are innumerable Brahmas also preside over these universes. But actually you are the master of them all. As the super soul in everyone's heart, you know everything. Please therefore accept me as your surrendered servant. I hope that you will excuse me for disturbing you in your pastimes with your friends and calves. Now, if you will kindly allow me, I will immediately leave so that you can enjoy your friends and calves without my presence. It's a very wonderful thing, and once again, just reminding us that people may be very powerful in position, maybe a leader of a country or whatnot, or maybe the head of a CEO of a company, and but they don't even come close to Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma here is saying that I am one of innumerable Lord Brahmas, and sometimes people, even though demigods, will become puffed up thinking that they're the all in all, as we will see in the story of Govardhan Hill as we get there. My dear Lord Krishna, your very name suggests that you are all attractive. The attraction of the sun and moon are all due to you. By the attraction of the sun, you are beautifying the very existence of the Yadu dynasty. With the attraction of the moon, you are enhancing the potency of the land, the demigods, the Brahmanas, the cows, and the oceans. Because of your supreme attraction, demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Therefore, it is my deliberate conclusion that you are the only worshipable deity within the creation. Accept my humble obeisances until the annihilation of this material world. As long as there is sunshine within this material world, kindly accept my humble obeisances. So here, Lord Brahma, the highest being in this universe. People worship Lord Brahma. He's reminding people that there's no deity that should be worshipped other than the Supreme Lord, Krishna. So worshiping demigods, and this happens quite a bit, even in the so-called Hindu religions, people will worship different demigods or demigoddesses for material benefit, but actually it is said here by Lord Brahma that it's foolishness to worship demigods. One should only focus their attention and their love on one deity, and that is Krishna. In this way, Brahma, the master of this universe, after offering humble and respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and circumambulating him 3 times, was ready to return to his abode, known as Brahma Loka. By his gesture, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gave him permission to return. As soon as Brahma left, Lord Sri Krishna immediately appeared as he had on the very day the cows and cowherd boys had vanished. Krishna had left his friends on the bank of the Jamuna while they were engaged in lunch, and although he returned exactly 1 year later, the cowherd boys thought that he returned within a second. That is the way of Krishna's different energies and activities. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is residing in everyone's heart, and he causes both remembrance and forgetfulness. So even to facilitate the pastimes, he will enable his remembrance and forgetfulness of things. And we've seen here in many positions where, like, even Mother Yasoda opened the mouth of the Supreme Lord Krishna, saw all the universes and became bewildered, but Krishna made, through his yoga maya, made her forget that. So even here, the cowherd boys think, wow, Krishna was just gone a second, but he was really gone a year. And that, as we remember, Shukadev Goswami was telling Maharaj Parikshit, because Maharaj Parikshit had inquired about why is it that there was a year that had gotten left out in their age, and he was showing this is the reason why. His friends, being controlled in such a way, could not understand that for a whole year they were absent from the Jamuna bank and were under the spell of Brahma's illusion. When Krishna appeared before the boys, they thought Krishna has returned within a minute. They began to laugh, thinking that Krishna was not willing to leave their lunchtime company. They were very jubilant and invited him. My dear friend Krishna, you have come back so quickly. All right, we have not as yet begun our lunch, not even taken one morsel of food. So please come and join us and let us eat together. Krishna smiled and accepted their invitation, and he began to enjoy the lunchtime company of his friends. So in a material world, in a situation, people are told, people are making fun of you for not doing something. Your false ego immediately is like, no, I was gone and I did all these things while I was gone. And Krishna's like, oh no, this is wonderful. He's just enjoying this relationship with his friends. And even if they're thinking that because of his energies, he's enjoying it. That's what he really enjoys. While eating, Krishna was thinking, these boys believe that I have come back within a second, but they do not know that for the last year I have been involved with the mystic activities of Lord Brahma. After finishing their lunch, Krishna and his friends and calves began to return to their Rajabhumi homes. While passing, they enjoyed seeing the dead carcass of Agashura in the shape of a gigantic serpent. When Krishna returned home to Rajabhumi, he was seen by all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. He was wearing a peacock feather in his helmet, which was also decorated with forest flowers. Krishna was also garlanded with flowers and painted with different colored minerals collected from the caves of Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill is always famous for supplying natural red dyes, and Krishna and his friends painted their bodies with them. Each of them had a bugle made of buffalo horn and a stick and a flute, and each called his respective calves by their particular names. They were so proud of Krishna's wonderful activities that while entering the village, they all sang his glories. All the gopis in Vrindavan saw beautiful Krishna entering the village. The boys composed nice songs describing how they were saved from being swallowed by the great serpent and how the serpent was killed. Some described Krishna as the son of Yashoda, others as the son of Nanda Maharaj. He is so wonderful that he saved us from the clutches of the great serpent and killed him, they said. But little did they know that 1 year had passed since the killing of Agashura. In this regard, Maharaj Parikshit asked Shukadev Goswami how the inhabitants of Vrindavan suddenly developed so much love for Krishna, although Krishna was not a member of any of their families. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, during the absence of the original cowherd boys, when Krishna expanded himself, why is it that the boys' parents became more loving towards him than toward their own sons? Also, why did the cows become so loving towards the calves more than towards their own calves? Sukadev Goswami told Maharaj Parikshit that every living entity is actually most attached to his own self. Outward paraphernalia such as home, family, friends, country, society, wealth, opulence, reputation, etc. are all only secondary in pleasing the living entity. They please only because they bring pleasure to the self. For this reason, one is self-centered and is attached to his body and self more than he is to relatives like wife, children, and friends. If there is some immediate danger to one's own person, he first of all takes care of himself, then others. That is natural. That means more than anything else, he loves his own self. The next important object of affection after his own self is his material body. The person who has no information of the spirit soul is very much attached to his material body, so much so that even in old age he wants to preserve the body in so many artificial ways, thinking that his old and broken body can be saved. Everyone is working hard day and night just to give pleasure to his own self, under either the bodily or spiritual conception of life. We are attached to material possessions because they give pleasure to the senses or to the body. The attachment to the body is there only because the I, the spirit soul, is within the body. Similarly, when one is further advanced, he knows that the spirit soul is pleasing because it is part and parcel of Krishna. Ultimately, it is Krishna who is pleasing and all attractive. He is the super soul of everything. And in order to give us this information, Krishna descends and tells us that the all attractive center is he himself. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. So it's very wonderful. All things, really, when it comes down to it, we're being attracted by Krishna. So we see something beautiful. It's a reflection, like a beautiful sunset. We were like, oh, that's a beautiful sunset. But it's not just because it's a beautiful sunset. It's because we're attracted to Krishna and we can see Krishna in that sunset. So all things, we may not see it, say, oh, that's Krishna, but that is the reason why we're so attracted. And that's what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is really saying. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Mahabhagavat, or highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all movable and immovable living entities. That's when the devotee comes to a point, the pure devotee, he just sees Krishna everywhere. That's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would sometimes be out in the forest and you would think he was in the forest of Vrindavan and Krishna was around somewhere, or he would, he'd see something, he'd see a mountain and you'd think of Govardhan Hill and he'd fall on the ground and roll around on the ground because he was having this experience of spiritual bliss. And this is what devotees are like, pure devotees. They see Krishna in everything, but the conditioned living entity just sees not Krishna, but, I see this, I see that cake, I see this girl, I see this, just things. They don't even realize behind all that is really a desire to have a loving relationship with Krishna. And that is ultimately what we're aiming for. So the process of sadhana bhakti is the process of engaging in hearing and chanting of Krishna's names to purify the heart so that it can shine through and Krishna can shine through the material energy. For the fortunate person who has taken shelter, for the fortunate person who has taken shelter of Krishna, as everything, liberation is already there. He is no longer in the material world. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna is already on the Brahma Bhuta, or spiritual platform. That the very name Krishna suggests piety and liberation. Anyone who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna enters the boat for crossing over the ocean of nescience. For him, this vast expansion of the material manifestation becomes as insignificant as a hoof print. Krishna is the center of all great souls, and he is the shelter of all of the material worlds. For one who is on the platform of Krishna consciousness, Vaikuntha, or the spiritual world, is not far away. He does not live within the material world where there is danger at every step. So this is Krishna consciousness. that which was fearful is sprung out of the perverted or misacquired, I guess you could say, desires for enjoying and lording over the material nature. As long as you are in that false consciousness, ahankara, the false concept that I am the body, I am this mind, and my goal in life is to lord over this material energy and try to find happiness from this. It is a perverted reflection of what Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is talking about here. That is a natural, loving desire to have a loving relationship with Krishna. That is the natural desire, but it's been perverted through a desire to lord over the material nature. And so anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness, as they say in the Bhagavad Gita, just abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I will give you all protection from sinful reactions. Do not fear. This is what Krishna says to Arjuna. Do not fear. There is no fear for the devotee who has taken shelter of the Lord, because they have been able to see through the grace of the spiritual master, through the grace of Krishna, the spiritual nature of themselves and their relationship with Krishna. And they realize there is no fear, there is no death. It's like they say in the Bible, death, where is thy sting? There is no sting, because you realize I am not my body, I am not my mind. This mortal coil will come and go, but I will continue on. And I will hopefully continue back to Krishna. And that's what we do with this process of engaging in Krishna consciousness. He does not live within the material world where there is danger at every step. Everyone is afraid of like different kinds of fear. I'm going to lose this, I'm going to do that, or someone's going to kill me, or there's a hurricane and ultimately it's all centered around the fear of death, because nobody really understands. They think when I die, that's it. When I die, it's over. And it's a horrifying fear to be in. And it's said that Krishna comes as time to those who do not believe in him, do not want to surrender to him. So he comes as death at the end of life, and that's a horrifying fear. It's like the same jaws of the lion that crush the deer, or also pick up the baby cub lioness and just gently carry him. And so the devotee who is surrendered to Krishna, he's just picked up by Krishna at the end of his life and taken back. But for those who don't, it's just like you continue on in this material world. It's a horrifying, it is fearful, it is very fearful. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of the Jamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayers unto him are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. Excuse me. There we go. So all you have to do is just play back these videos and hear the story, or read the story over and over again. It's beneficial spiritually. Thus, Krishna's childhood appearance, his sporting with Balaram in Vrindavan, was described. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta's purport of the 14th chapter of Krishna, prayers offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna. This is a very wonderful chapter. It's long, but it's such an important thing. It's very worth going back and listening to it, or reading it over and over again and meditating upon this. It's timeless wisdom. So we're going to end there, and we will continue next time with another killing of a demon called Killing of Denakasura. And so thank you very much. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe, and please feel free to make comments, or if you have questions, you can put them down in the comment section, or even direct message me if you like, and I will be happy to answer those. Thank you very much. And I'm trying to remember where I put my pick. Maybe I put it in my pocket. Maybe not. Oh, there it is. Okay, Hari Bol. Let's chant. That's all for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Hari Bol.